It sounds good. Right, so Paldea Prologue is this weekend. I've got 4 teams that will be showing off. And if you're watching this in the VOD, you can check in the description. I will put the timestamps for each team, and there will also be the Pokepastes for each team as well. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. So the Paldea Prologue, you can use either Miraidon or Koraidon for the first time, and all of the Ruination Pokemon are usable as well. Hey Critical, good to have you here. So we're going to jump straight in. 2 teams. There are 2 Koraidon teams, 2 Miraidon teams. We're going to start with the Koraidon teams and then jump over to the other one. So here's the first one. Koraidon with Life Orb. We just want our Koraidon to be hitting hard and fast. There's not really much to say about this Koraidon. I've gone for Iron Head for coverage to help deal with fairies. Now, let's talk about the actual noteworthy parts of the team. So this duo right here, Chien-Pao and Dragonite, you're going to see a lot of that in this tournament. They're going to be running the show. And in case you don't know why this duo is so strong, of course, Chien-Pao has the Sword or Ruin ability, which lowers Pokemon's defense, all the other Pokemon's defense on the field. And it also gets priority in both Ice Shard and Sucker Punch. You can see I've gone for Taunt here, but you do have to be aware of wary of Sucker Punch as well. And Chien-Pao, if you come across it, could be running Focus Sash, it could be running Life Orb, it could be running Choice Band. But anyway, we are running Focus Sash, and in conjunction with that Dragonite, which is almost always running Choice Band, getting off big extreme speeds, a lot of damage. Choice Band, Terrastalize, that should be normal. And with the defense drop from Sword of Ruin on top of that, you've got an incredibly fast, incredibly strong duo that can be really difficult to handle. So we're using that on this team, and we'll also be trying to deal with it on some other teams as well, including this one. But yeah, the sets, we've got Sucker Punch, we've got Ice Spinner as the strongest reliable Ice-type move. We're not going to go for Icicle Crash for an extra 5% damage and a drop in accuracy. And we've got Taunt as well, because we've got Focus Sash. We get 2 bites at the cherry with Taunt, and I think it could be useful against certain leads. We probably want to be leading it against Trick Room, I imagine, as well. Don't know how much Trick Room we'll see. But anyway, on to Dragonite. Normal Terra type, extreme speed. The other moves, Dragon Claw, self-explanatory. We've got Low Kick, because we want to get some big damage off against the Ruination Pokemon. And Fire Punch to deal with Steel types. Not surprisingly, I expect the meta to be absolutely filled with Dragon, Fairy, and Fire types. Terrastalizations all over the place for those, so just be wary. But Dragonite can get the job done against all of those. Now, on to our next Pokemon. Speaking of dealing with the duo we just talked about. So, we want Tailwind, of course. We want our speed control. And that's kind of a running theme that I've got, I think, for all of these teams. We've got speed control. I think possibly even Tailwind for every single team. So a bit of an interesting looking spread for this one, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So Talonflame, Tailwind. I think Talonflame is probably going to be the premier Tailwind setter. And then Quick Guard, because that's how this team is going to deal with opposing Chien-Pao and Dragonite. We're going to be leading Talonflame most of the time anyway, because we want that Tailwind up. And a lot of opponents are just going to lead those two. And we got the Quick Guard, so we can just put a stop to that immediately. No problem. I put Feint on this set because I like Feint. And Brave Bird as well. So Brave Bird, in conjunction with the Sharp Beak, will KO 4 HP Koraidon. 93% of the time, I believe, with 228 in attack. We couldn't really go for any more in there because I needed a bit of speed to outspeed the Iron Bundles if they don't get Tailwind up first. And we've got enough bulk to survive Dragonite's extreme speed. Just over 80% of the time, I believe. Which is just in case we do need to get a Tailwind off, and that's more important in the face of Dragonite. Because we have other ways to deal with Dragonite as well, but it's just there for insurance, the defensive EVs. So the Sharp Beak is very necessary for getting rid of Koraidon. Now, it doesn't have to be Feint. in fact. Protect's obviously always good. You can scout for those Terra types. And yeah, Protect's probably the best alternative here. Of course, you've got Flare Blitz as well, but we've got plenty of fire coverage on this team anyway. So that's Talonflame. It's going to get Tailwind up for us, and it's going to help stop opposing Chien-Pao and Dragonites as well. Best of one, closed team sheets, whack out a quick guard. You might just end up winning on turn 1. Next up, we've got Iron Moth. So I'm very excited to be using this Pokemon. I say that. I don't know what team I'm using yet, but I might be using this one. The combination of Fairy coverage and Fire coverage it's just incredible. It gets the job done. Is there anything that resists that combination? No single typing does, I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head. So the fact it gets Dazzling Gleam and being a Fire type itself and 4 times resisting Fairy, how can you not have this on your team? I've gone Modest because even at Timid, the booster energy will give the special attack boost, and I'm just kind of going all in. Get Tailwind up. You might have seen me use this in other streams as well. Get Tailwind up and just go from there. Very strong. And we got Sludge Wave as well, which I wasn't too sure about, but we'll come back to Sludge Wave because the coverage is incredible, of course, but we don't have anything we can just spam it next to, considering it hits the partner as well. And the last Pokemon is Slitherwing. So this could be Great Tusk in this slot, or it could be Slitherwing. So the reason that I say it could be either of those two is because Ting-Lu, one of the Ruination Pokemon, I expect that to be absolutely everywhere as well. It is insane just how good that Pokemon is. 155 base HP, incredible defense, and a decent special defense stat that is boosted even further, technically, by its ability, which lowers the special attack stats of Pokemon around it. So slap an Assault Vest on it, and the calcs are just ridiculous on that Pokemon. So the way you want to be dealing with it is with strong, super effective physical moves. So Great Tusk or Slitherwing get the job done there. I've opted for Slitherwing because it has a bit more bulk than Great Tusk, at least specially, which is what I was going for. So we've got the Close Combat, we've got Leech Life as well, which I like in conjunction with Assault Vest because you can heal up a little bit. Also, we'll come back to that in a minute. Flare Blitz for coverage and Heavy Slam for coverage as well. Flare Blitz getting the boost in the sun. Heavy Slam for dealing with fairies. So what was I saying I was going to come to? The Terra type, Steel. So on the subject of Slitherwing and Koraidon, they are both Steel types. So you can go Talonflame, Iron Moth, Talonflame, Slitherwing, Talonflame, Koraidon. Get Tailwind up. As soon as Talonflame goes down, you are free to get Iron Moth in, and you can terrestrialize the partner into that Steel typing and then just go for those Sludge Waves. So that's how we kind of get around the Sludge Wave spam. And also, the Steel typing helps into Trick Room. I don't know what Trick Room is going to look like in this format. I expect it's possibly going to be more Indeedee stuff because Indeedee helps get rid of Miraidon's electric terrain as well. So I could see a lot of people running that, in which case, Steel type with Leech Life, not bad. You can get the job done against Indeedee there. So that's the first team. A lot of offense packed into this team. Yeah, ride hard, die fast, pretty much. That's the first team. That's our first Koraidon team out of the way. On to our next Koraidon team. It's a lot slower in many ways. So let's quickly talk about this one. So again, Life Orb Koraidon is exactly the same as the one we just saw. Steel type Terra, same moves as well. As an aside, you could run Choice Scarf on Koraidon. I haven't put Choice Scarf on either of the teams, but Koraidon gets a U-turn as well, which is a really, really nice move. Of course, for utility, you can just lead Koraidon next to the likes of Talonflame on the previous team and a U-turn out if you did want to use Choice Scarf. You can also use it on this team as well. Up next, we'll come back to Ting-Lu. Let's move him down there, and let's move you down there as well. Okay, so up next we have Screamtail. So this is an interesting set. Now the reason that we've gone for the moves we've gone for on Screamtail here. Okay, Dazzling Gleam, self-explanatory. Again, fairy moves, They're going to be instrumental in getting wins against the likes of, well, all of the Ruination Pokemon. Even oh no, it doesn't actually. Chiyu has pretty good special defense, but still, its HP is pretty abysmal. You want your fairy moves. Reflect Light Screen, because we can get a bit more bulk going on. And Psychic Terrain, I was flirting with the idea of just shutting down the Quark Drive boosts against Miraidon teams. So this is one way you can do it. Is it the best way, or is it even worth doing? Maybe not. There are other options you could run, but I think it's interesting. It's definitely noteworthy at the very least. Psychic Terrain. You could, of course, run. You could run Psychic Fangs for utility. I prefer special Scream Tail, but you could run Psychic Fangs to deal with opposing screens as well. Yeah, it has a pretty interesting move pool, and it's not the first time. It's not the only time we'll be featuring it on any of these teams. But yeah, you can chuck in anything else you want here. Electric Coverage as well to surprise the likes of Iron Bundle. But anyway, we've got Scream Tail, helps with the bulk a lot. Ideally, we're going to be going for those screens there, and that should probably be. I know Iapapa Berry's pretty good, but you could also run your Light Clay as well, of course, which is a pretty decent shout on this team, if I'm being honest. Now, from here, this is where it gets interesting. This team, as I say, is a bit slower, a bit bulkier. We don't have Tailwind on this team, but we do have Trick Room. And I wanted Trick Room because I wanted to use Tinglu. I wanted to use Iron Hands as well. So I needed a Trick Room setter. Why did I choose Toad School? Because it gets Rage Powder as well. I think that was why. You know what? Maybe this could also be Indeedee. Let's just put that out there. This could also be Indeedee. I think because I originally had Spore on this set, but you kind of have to be careful with Miraidon everywhere. Although we did have Psychic Terrain, but this could certainly be Indeedee. And then you can change that Psychic Terrain as well. Indeedee or Toad School. Unless I remember why, we'll stick Indeedee on this one. So Psychic Surge. Focus Sash, I think, is totally fine as well. That's totally legit. And of course, you're going to go with Follow Me. It gets... What is that move? The one that heals the partner. Heal Pulse. There we go. It's Heal Pulse as well. So I think actually use Indeedee. Don't use Toad School. So Indeedee, Follow Me, Heal Pulse, Dazzling Gleam. And almost forgot Trick Room. Okay, the EVs we can sort out later. Probably enough to survive Koraidon's moves and enough to survive Miraidon's not in electric terrain. So we've got Indeedee. So we can set up Trick Room, and we also have Redirection, which is going to be amazing for the next two Pokemon. Tinglu is on the team with an Assault Vest, and this is a slower but also still pretty offensive Tinglu we've got going on here. And you'll see from the EV spread, we don't go in on attack on this one. We've got Body Press with max defense, which will do a ton of damage against the Ruination Pokemon. We've got Bulldoze to lower some speeds if necessary. If we don't get Trick Room up, we can Bulldoze the likes of Miraidon. It also gets Stomping Tantrum, but it's just not a very good move in my opinion. And we can't spam Earthquake on this team, so that's why we don't have Earthquake. But Bulldoze is fine as a nice utility move. Heavy Slam, because even with 0 attack EVs, that still picks up the KO on 4 HP Flutter Mane, which is going to be everywhere. And Snarl as well. So again, we can lead this into opposing Trick Room if we don't want them out Trick Rooming us. But just a nice utility Pokemon all round. And then we've got Iron Hands. So this is where the Redirection really starts to come into play. So we've got a Citrus Berry, our Assault Vest is already taken. We've got Fake Out, Swords Dance, Drain Punch, and Iron Head. So we're already doing a ton of damage anyway. And again, we want to be doing super effective physical damage to the Ruination Pokemon. So we ideally want to get Trick Room up with this team more often than not, and then just go at it with Iron Hands. And that's pretty much it. There's not really much else to say about Iron Hands. It doesn't have to be Iron Head. I like Iron Head, obviously, for the fairy coverage. But it also gets Play Rough. I hate missing Play Rough, but it does get Play Rough, so you can really put the hurt on the Dragon Pokemon as well. That Terra typing, I'm not sure about fighting, actually. Should probably not be fighting. Should probably be... could be Steel, of course. Steel always good. Fire always good as well. Fairy, usable. I kind of like Poison as well, to be honest. So it could be any of those. What we'll do is... How are we doing for defensive fire coverage? Or could be grass. Could be grass, actually. Grass is not a bad shout. Depends on if we're worried about a Moongus. I'll stick. Fire there for now. We'll stick fire there, but it could be any of those, depending on what you want to use it for. Defensively, the Terra typing. And then lastly, we got Volcarona. So we've already featured 2 Moths on the previous team. Now the OG is back. Life Orb. This is Quiver Dance, so we get some utility again out of Indeedee Follow Me. And yeah, I mean, we don't even need to Quiver Dance with this. We get good damage off with Life Orb. We are Fairy Terra type, so we can Terrastalize and get off strong Terra Blasts. The EV spread allows us to KO 4 HP Miraidon without needing to Quiver Dance with our Terra Blast. And surprise, surprise, it gets Koraidon as well with its 4 times weakness. I'm gonna try an Ontaro. I'm gonna try and get to it. I will definitely let you know. We'll see what happens. But this is the Volcarona set, and looking back at it again, even if we did have the Indeedee on the team, then a Psychic Seed in here somewhere wouldn't go amiss. Could be on Tinglu. Give it give it Protect as well instead of something, or give it to Iron Hands and just rely on Drain Punch for recovery. That'd be fine as well. Or give it to Indeedee. But yeah, this is that team. The idea is basically get Trick Room up and deal damage in the early to mid game with Iron Hands, and then clean up with the likes of Volcarona, Koraidon, and we can outbulk things as well. I actually quite like the idea of... we've got double Life Orb. I quite like the idea of Choice Scarf on this particular Koraidon with U-turn. So that way we can lead... Indeedee, Koraidon, U-turn out, get Iron Hands in, get that Trick Room up, and go from there. And that's it. That's it for that team. So a very different looking Koraidon team. On to the next one. So, time for Miraidon. Here we go. From one Choice Scarf Dragon to another. Choice Scarf Miraidon. Now, I didn't really talk about what Koraidon could be holding, but yeah, it's going to be your Life Orbs, your Focus Sashes, your Choice Scarfs. Maybe Choice Band. I haven't really heard about Choice Band. I think that there's more often than not that's going on Dragonite or Chen Pao. But with Miraidon, you're going to see Choice Specs, you're going to see Choice Scarf, you're going to see Focus Sash as well. But yeah, we're going to go Choice Scarf. We've gone Timid because we don't want to be getting outsped by opposing Choice Scarf Dragons. And Volt Switch, we can switch out Dazzling Gleam because Fairy again. Electro Drift and Dragon Pulse. Could be Draco Meteor, but I don't like missing my moves. And also, we don't suffer any drawbacks with Dragon Pulse. We don't get the -2 in our special attack. For me, I'm a little bit worried about going for those Dracos into a sudden Steel Terastallization and then being stuck in and having to manually switch out. But that's Miraidon. Next up, so Tailwind. Iron Jugulis. Protect, Tailwind, Snarl, Hurricane. Probably could be something other than the Citrus Berry because we're not particularly bulky. Although it's decently bulky just off of its base stats alone. you may be wondering why we have Hurricane. Now, this, of course, could be Air Slash. Air Slash is more... You're going to win games because of Hurricane hitting. You're going to lose games because of Hurricane missing. So Air Slash might be the way to go. Of course, Air Slash not 100% accurate itself. The Poison Terror type on this one, because if we absolutely need to get Tailwind up, we can Poison Terror in the face of some fairies and get our Tailwind up as needed. But why is there Hurricane on the set? Let's look at the next Pokemon. Screamtail's back, and this time it's the same set as before. This time it's Rain Dance. And this one I do think is genuinely really good because we can use Miraidon. We can use our Miraidon team to shut down, to some degree, opposing Koraidon teams. We can lead Screamtail with that booster energy, get the speed boost, and get Rain Dance off. And that's why Hurricane's there. Doesn't have to be Hurricane, could be Air Slash. Also flirted with running Thunder on Miraidon because it's stronger than Electro Drift. But then we're running three electric moves. Maybe you could run it instead of Volt Switch. Be pretty cool. Be pretty fun. But then you're pretty much relying on getting Rain Dance up. It's more there as a tech option. I didn't really talk about the Screamtail spread before, but the special attack EVs are 2. Let's have a quick look, so that I don't give you the wrong info. So 60. Okay, so it's the 2-shot most of the time, Chien Pao. Yeah, that's what that's there for. So we outspeed it. You can start damaging it from the very beginning, right off the bat. Get a few Dazzling Gleams off, or go for those Reflects, go for those Light Screams, start to bulk up. So that's Screamtail. I think Screamtail genuinely could be a really good Pokemon. There's going to be so much hyper offense, and Screamtail can really slow things down. Next up, Iron Hands. He's back again, but this time it's more of your traditional kind of Iron Hands, kind of. Assault Vest, Fake Out, Play Rough because Fairy coverage, Drain Punch, and Volt Switch. So we can Volt Switch our way out of some predicaments if necessary. Nice and slow Volt Switch as well, which is always really nice. We can get a safe switch in after everyone else has usually already moved. Okay, on to the last 2 Pokemon. So, of course, we're featuring a ton of Paradox Pokemon here with the Quark Drive ability. The first of which is, of course... Oh, no, the second of which is Iron Hands. There are 4 on this team. 5 Paradox Pokemon altogether. Next one's Iron Valiant. And again, we talked earlier about Dragonite, Chien Pao. I wanted something with Quick Guard, and Iron Valiant gets that move. So it's going to help us against Chien Pao, Dragonite. It's going to draw fire from both of those Pokemon as well. Yeah, it's going to draw fire from both of those Pokemon. Dragonite's always going to extreme speed it. It doesn't have a choice. It has to. So you can just Quick Guard that. And as for the Chien Pao, if they have Ice Shard, they probably want to go for that. Because we get the speed boost. So we'd outspeed them. Have to be careful of the Ice Spinner coming out. But we got the Focus Sash anyway. We get 2 bites of that cherry. But yeah, Quick Guard, and it's mixed as well. So close combats, again, big damage against the likes of Tinglu. And then Moonblast. So even with no attack investment, our close combat's a really nice nuke against anything that is super effective against. And then Moonblast is a concentrated fairy, special fairy move into the likes of Great Tusk. Just have to be careful when facing Great Tusk. If it has an Assault Vest, you're definitely going to be relying on Iron Juggler, Screamtail, and Iron Valiant all to kind of chip in with the damage there. Could be Dazzling Gleam as well, though. But of course, it's going to be a bit weaker than the Moonblast. Fairy Terror type, so you can give it a boost as well. I think that even if you Terrastallize, you don't get the Great Tusk if it has the Assault Vest. Let's find out. So Moonblast, Terrastallize. We're going all in. I'll be interested to know what those 84 attack EVs are, because I'm not sure what they are. Yeah, so it still survives. against this particular variant. And if you're lazy like I am and you run 4-2-5-2, it always survives. So that's Iron Valiant, and I think it's really, really good, especially with that quick guard. Again, this is our way to stop Shenpao and Dragonite from just being dirty all over our team, for lack of a better term, because they look pretty good against this team. Honestly, just fast spam. Why not? Then we've got Iron Treads, because if you look at the rest of the team, we've got a buttload of fairy weaknesses on the team. So let's get a steel type in there. If you've seen any of my previous streams, you know I quite like my Iron Treads. And I've gone Life Orb. The one I usually use on stream is Adamant, but this one is Jolly, so we can get the speed boost instead of the attack boost, which I think is going to be necessary here. We got that attack boost anyway from the Life Orb. Now, I've gone for the Terra type, ground Terra type with Terra Blast, because that's what I like to do. I like to have that single target ground move. But honestly, you could run Steel on this. You could run many things on this. You could be cheeky and run a bit of Ghost as well. To bait in Koraidon. I think, does it get Play Rough? It does not get Play Rough. So maybe that's not the best idea then. You could run Ice Spinner, I guess. You're not going to knock out Koraidon in one hit with that, though. But yeah, you've got options. You've got options there, and I quite like my Iron Treads. So, let's just have a quick double check. Electric, I think that's the right Terra type there, for sure. That probably needs to change. Maybe into Fairy. But yeah, we've got ways to mitigate the Fairy weakness. That's for sure. That's probably the quite literal big weakness of the team is Fairy types. Not that we can't play around them. I think there's a lot of firepower in here to help deal with those. One of those Pokemon is going to be Fluttermane. Fluttermane is going to be everywhere. Choice Specs. Fairy Terastallization, just like we've already seen it. That's going to be everywhere. But yeah, that's the Miraidon team. That's the first one. Now, speaking of Fluttermane, here's the second one. The second Miraidon team. I'll be honest, this one's a bit... We're kind of memeing all the way with this one, but could be fun. But this is probably, yeah, the crazy cousin to the other three teams we've just seen. So we've got Miraidon with Life Orb, Protect, Discharge, Electro Drift, and Dragon Pulse. Yeah, Discharge. So the second Pokemon is Raichu. That's why we've got the Discharge. So I was like, you know what? Raichu shuts down Miraidon if you just use it because it has Lightning Rod, and you whack out the Fairy type as well because it gets to play rough. So I was like, you can lead this into Miraidon teams. You can lead it into Miraidon. Let's just get that clear. It's still a Raichu at the end of the day. It's not gonna, it's not gonna solo any teams for you. But I was like, this is kind of fun. It gets Fake Out. We can just Discharge off next to it as well, and a bit of Nuzzle. I do like a bit of Nuzzle. Again, going to be difficult to really get it off, I think, in the face of fast Paradox Pokemon. But still, it's there. And then we got Volt Tackle, which it kind of defeats the point of running Focus Sash. But and we don't really capitalize on the special attack boost, should we Discharge next to it. But it doesn't get a strong Fairy move, unfortunately, on the special side of things. Yeah, just the old Draining Kiss, which ain't going to be doing a whole lot, I don't think, even after a boost. So that's why we've gone for this one. Very meme worthy. Could be fun. Run Pikachu. Why not? Run Pikachu if you want. And then Iron Juggalist comes back because it does pair quite nicely with Raichu as well. And I've gone for weakness policy on this one, so they can just use their Fairy moves on us when we get Tailwind up. And from there, we've got Air Cutter as well with Flying Terra type. Because honestly, if you get the weakness policy off, you go for the Air Cutter. I think even without the policy boost, but with the Terra type, let's have a look. I'm pretty sure it gets Koraidon. Oh, it doesn't. It's not even close. so you do need the boost ideally. But as I said, very meme worthy for that one. Of course, you know you can change anything on this particular team. Put Air Slash in there. But yeah, anyway, on to our next one. Screamtail is back yet again, and this time we've gone straight for Perish Song because I was like, you know what? If we're just gonna go hard and fast with the KOs, then Perish Song makes sense in that slot for me. So we can just go straight in with that. And so here's the Flutter Mane, which we'll be seeing a ton of everywhere. Choice specs, that should not be Ghost type, that should be a Fairy. Again, pairs quite nicely with Perish Song if you can catch your opponent out. And it wouldn't be a Paldea Prologue or Regulation C team building video if it didn't feature a Chiryu at some point. So I just kind of shoehorned it in here with the Choice Scarf, which is probably what you're going to see on it more often than not. Overheat, Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, and Snarl. So yeah, get damage off. You can kind of see that Raichu is not going to be, again, super, super amazing, but has enough disruption going on here and has just enough threat that you might be able to pick up a few KOs with the partners and then just try and get that Perish Song off. Why not? And that's it. That's pretty much it. Is there anything that I've missed? Other Pokemon I think would be good. I was desperately looking at all of the Mach Punch Pokemon. When I say all of them, that's literally 2, I believe. That is Breloom and Pawmot. Let me just double check. I think it's just those 2, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Pawmot almost got the nod over Raichu, but it doesn't get Lightning Rod, unfortunately. It gets Volt Absorb instead, so it can't suck in Miraidon's moves. However, you could totally run that on the meme team instead. Oh, what are we doing? You could totally run that on the meme team instead. Because yeah, then you're Mach Punching. You got your Mach Punch. You can threaten a ton of damage onto everything that's weak to fighting as well. And you got Volt Absorb. You can heal up a little bit. So those are 4 teams that you can use in the Paldea Prologue. If you do use any of them, do let me know. Let me know how you get on. I still don't know what I'll be using yet this weekend. It will either be one of these, of course, or a variation of one of them. We'll see, but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to the tournament. I think we'll learn a lot heading into Regulation C, even though we won't have those dragon types available during that format. So I'm going to end it there. Thanks for watching, guys. As I said, if you watch the VOD, you can check the timestamps out. I'll also put the Pokepastes in the description as well. And yeah, I'll be streaming this weekend, so hopefully I'll see you then. You take care.